What's up, guys? Welcome to episode number 128. In this episode, I interview longtime acquaintance and now certainly friend, Mr. Brandon LaRue. Brandon is a man with many commas. He's a husband, he's a father, he's a coach, he's an athlete, he's an entrepreneur, an author, an outdoorsman, and surely many more commas to come. Now, in this episode, Brandon and I discuss many of the life lessons that come from entrepreneurship, from his experience in athletics, from fatherhood, and from years of personal and professional growth. So if you're a parent, if you're a business owner, if you're a coach, and or you're just looking to learn from others' valuable experiences, then this episode is going to be for you. As always, I hope you enjoy. Leave a positive rating and review in iTunes, and make sure you share this with someone who you think can resonate. Appreciate you so much. Thanks for listening. Enjoy this episode. Welcome to the show where we help you make smart nutrition simple. If you want proven nutrition strategies to help you build a better body and create the energy to show up for your family without overly restrictive and unrealistic dieting, then you're in the right place. Make sure to subscribe and enjoy this episode. Brandon LaRue, welcome to the Smart Nutrition Made Simple show. What's going on, brother?
Not much, man. I'm just happy to be here. It's like I was telling you, it's a rainy day in Minnesota and it's my daughter's birthday. So we might as well podcast.
Totally. Do you know I'm from Minnesota, right?
I think I knew that. Do you remember how we actually
Yes, I mean vaguely, but I was going to ask you the same thing. But dude, tell me your story here, because I got to hear it from your standpoint.
Okay. So I met your mother, and right. Forgive me, I don't remember her first name.
Patrice.
Okay. Yeah. It rings a bell now. And we were just on a flight to, I don't even know what flight.
No idea
where we were going, but so I sat next to this nice lady, and we were just one of those plain friends that you make. And we just started talking about all the things and what do you do for a living? What do you do for a living? Hey, my son also is in that line of work. I'm like, oh, really? And then she shared your name, and we got connected on Facebook, and I kind of just found out that we have a ton in common. And This is, interestingly, this is the first time I think we've talked.
This is like our first formal conversation, although I swear when you guys were on the plane or getting off the plane, she called me and said, here, someone wants to talk to you.
Oh my gosh.
Which is classic Patrice Brown material.
Is it?
Like she does really? This shit all the time. And I'm like, hello? You're like, hey, it's Brandon. It could have been with 10 other different people and probably was with all of the above, but I swear she put us in a conversation. I'm like, hey, what's going on?
Hey, man.
He's like, I don't know. Your mom wanted us to connect. I'm like, oh, sweet. So anyways, dude, it's certainly a pleasure to connect formally since we connected, obviously years ago. I don't even know how long that was since we started following each other and having conversations and stuff, but obviously we're in the same wavelength in terms of health and fitness and nutrition and performance and family and fathers and all of that kind of stuff. So I've certainly appreciated just kind of following you over the years and resonated with what you have to say. And we're certainly speaking the same language, which is obviously why I wanted to share that with our community. And so why don't you just give us a little quick background about, what it is that you're currently doing, and we can kind of jump into some of the background behind that. But what are you currently up to, Brandon?
Yeah. So the last 2 years, the big project in my life, as far as, career and work and stuff like that in entrepreneurship, has been building a brand called Well-Built Humans. Building a brand, as you know, or anyone who's tried is an undertaking. It's not like something that just you snap your fingers and voila, you have this awesome brand.
Totally.
It's a total grind of providing content that people want to consume and value, and in most cases free value, free, and then figuring out how to monetize something like that. So that's what I've been up to. Well-Built Humans was born out of adversity, like a lot of good things, and I had a previous business my wife and I were a part of that was nutrition and supplement business. And to no fault of our own, we had a lot of success for about a decade, and it collapsed on us. So we were forced to kind of pivot, and I had to make a decision personally and for my family, if I wanted to continue down entrepreneurship or 9 to 5 it, so to speak. And just with our, family values and stuff like that, we feel strongly we want to be the loudest voices in our children's lives and spend as much time as we can with them. So that's why Well Built Humans was formed. And so Well Built Humans is a human performance brand. And originally, and still the biggest part of it is kettlebell training. Mm-hmm. So I do live kettlebell training. And so I do all the programming and all that stuff for a community of about 75 people that's slowly growing. And that's my preferred method of training for myself. Maybe we'll talk about stuff like that down the road. But it's also evolved to, I also have a kettlebell, and I've also in the last 6 months launched a supplement line called Well Built Supplements.
Great.
So I got these different channels working off of Well Built Humans. So spinning a few plates. But
100%, as you should as an entrepreneur. And when I asked you when we first jumped on the call, I'm like, what's going on? You're like, well, what's not going on? Which I fully understand, because I'm in much the same position in terms of building a brand and building a coaching business and having supplements as well. And it's a significant undertaking. I don't want to dig the knife, so to speak, but I would love to know more, because I remember we've been communicating over the years, and I know you were having a lot of success with your supplement nutrition business previously. Yeah. I'd be interested in kind of learning more about just kind of experience around what happened with you have a seemingly thriving business, and then almost overnight it's gone. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah, not at all. And I was an Advocare distributor. Mm-hmm. So Advocare, if you're not familiar, it still is a brand. It was a network marketing, multi-level direct sales, however you interpret that. People interpret that a lot of different ways. Model. And it was that way for 25 years. And so and how I got into that, I wasn't like some guy that would typically be inclined to that type of business model. I kind of got into it organically. I was a strength coach in professional baseball. I was in the minor league system for the Chicago Cubs. And the head strength coach was on their sports advisory board. So we had some Advocare products floating around, and I started taking some, and I wanted to know how to get it. And then you had to contact a distributor. So I ended up contacting a distributor who I really liked the guy, and he was successful. I'm like, gosh, that's interesting. Well, while I'm, strength coaches in that line of work, I mean, you don't get paid next.
Not minor, and especially minor league. I mean, it's bad enough major league, but I remember the whole minor league deal, because I had a couple options of doing some of that. I mean, you're basically working for free. Ridiculous.
I mean, it's gotten better, Ben, but like when I was there, I remember specifically, because this is part of my story for doing the Advocare business. I was making, the gross salary was $21.75 a month. Yeah. I mean, and then there's taxes taken out of that. And then you had $500 for rent. I mean, you're living on $1,000. And I was 27, and I had just finished my master's degree, and all these loans were hitting me. I'm like, I need something else. So I started to pursue Advocare, because I really did. I liked the products. I thought they were quality, and I started sharing those with some people in my, family, friends, and I started to make a little money. And I'm like, well, I wonder how this guy is making several zeros behind what I'm earning. How does that work? So it just became I think it is such a taboo topic, but I think it's a great industry if you can find a product that you believe in and meets, like a quality criteria, especially in, through our lens. You and I lens is very different than someone without that background. And I think the personal development and leadership environment is nearly second to none when you get into a good company. I mean, what they invest in personal development was millions for me. I needed to be around that type of people. I needed to be around strong, high character men. And it really changed my life. So as much as the ending didn't end as well as I wanted it to, because I thought this was going to be how I was going to provide for my family for a long time. It's hard to be bitter about it, because all the blessings that were found within it. And that's how I got into it. And I mean, it ended up being wildly successful. We made, a couple $1 million in that business.
Amazing.
So that's over the course of a long time, but that's not in 1 year.
I think there's obviously varying opinions
sure.
around direct marketing and all that stuff. But I certainly align with the growth potential, the personal development potential. And like at the end of the day, people like to put the kibosh on those types of business models. But the reality is that you still have to build a business. You still have to put in the work. You still have to make the connections. You still have to sell. You still have to personally develop and grow. And I appreciate that you're bringing that to the forefront. If you can align with a great product, why wouldn't you? It's like, especially as we get older, right? Especially with families, especially as we start to look at the rest of our lives, and that becomes more myopically focused than in the moment, or what the bank account reflects, or the ego and all of that type of stuff, right? Is we have to do what we have to do, and why not do it on our own terms? Who gives a what other people think?
Right. Yeah. I mean, one of the blessings within that of doing that is you develop some thick skin because of the varying opinions of it. But you don't accomplish much in life by caring so much what other people think. I mean, you can respect them and disagree and move on. And I've learned to do that because people just don't know what they don't know, like a lot of things.
Totally. So what happened with the business?
So, okay. Yeah. So the big climax, man. So everything was good. I could get into some interesting stuff, but like everything was good. And then they changed the business model. The corporation did. There's nothing we could do. We got a call on April, I almost remember the day, like April 19th or something, April 16th.
But to be clear, like, so just to set the stage so people understand, is like you've spent all these years building this business. And one of the things about direct marketing, maybe you could just very briefly just explain the models to the point where, you're making good money and you've got.
Okay. So real quickly, a direct sales model to be successful in it, to earn a good income with it, you gotta lead other people to success. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you can make some extra money by developing some customers, and you can make $500 to $1,000 extra a month just by developing customers, maybe more than that if you have a lot of influence. But the power in that model is in the royalty nature of it. So if I help Ben help him have some customers so he's earning some income, and teach him how to also teach, train, and show other people how to build their own business, all that starts to, it's exponential. Like I only know, let's just say 100 people. Well, now through Ben, now we know, this is simplified math, 200. If you start to work through people, you can get to thousands of people.
Yeah. And
all of that product that's flowing out in the marketplace, because of your initiation, you get a fraction of all of that. And it took a lot of work. It took a lot of pounding the pavement. I did so many public speaking used to scare the daylights out of me. I did so many public speaking things, but now I actually enjoy it, and it's obviously a valuable skill. And anyway, so we did that for 10 years, grind. And it grew to be a rewarding income up until where we just were that 2 months out. Yep. So April 16th or whatever, 2018, we get a phone call from corporate. We got invited to a Zoom, and they basically said, we're changing our compensation plan. All the downline is a little lingo. All the people that are beneath you in your organization, the only way you can earn income now is from your frontline customers. You don't earn any of the royalties, any of the leadership commissions that you've earned and worked hard for over the years is gone in 2 months.
Unreal. Were there any backlash lawsuits or anything?
There was some attempts, but when you sign a distributor agreement, it's about 90 pages long.
Yeah.
And it's click here if you agree. So they cover their bases, where if they make changes like that, there's really no recourse.
So got it. I
Got it.
appreciate you clarifying that. So you're at this crux, right? Like you've worked
Yep.
all of these years. As you said, you've hit the pavement, you've grinded your ass off. I get it. And now it's like, holy crap, the rug was just swept out from under you. What do you do now?
Yeah. Well, I think I never stopped being me, like I've always, like, if there's one compliment that I'm most proud of when I meet people and the relationships that I've built is that you're authentic and you're genuine. And so I've never really strayed too much from my passions. You see, Advocare was a health and nutrition and fitness company. Yeah. So I stayed sharp. This is what I studied. It's what I went to school for. It's what I got my master's degree in. Right. I was always coaching on the side because I enjoy working with athletes and non-athletes alike. Because there's something in my heart, I think, and it's wired in every human being, that when you go serve other people and you go help them make them better, it makes you feel really good. There's fulfillment in that. Mm-hmm. So I've always kind of done that. Advocare was a vehicle for that. So when that got cut off, I'm like, well, I'm just going to go find another thing. I'm just going to go create that experience for other people. So Well-Built Humans is still a lot of the same themes and emphasis on human development from a leadership standpoint, fitness standpoint, which I think the two are very, people talk about personal development all the time, thinking it's all like leadership and how you think. But if you don't, fitness is like the best representation of personal development I could ever think of. Is. There's no entitlement in it. It's 100% earned. Mm-hmm. That's why I think the two are so intertwined. Like if you're going to go on a personal development journey, you might as well go on a fitness journey with it. You're going to find out a lot about yourself. So I don't know. I kind of lost my train of thought there.
No. So you started essentially, I'm assuming you started to develop well-built humans, and now you've got a few offshoots of that in terms of serving. Are you working primarily with athletes or general population, both?
General population right now, like my kettlebell training is largely, guys and gals. So guys like you and gals that are relatively fit. Maybe they got a history of fitness. Usually not, people that are 100 pounds overweight, although sure. I take situations like that case by case, sure. Where I'll coach somebody through that type of experience, and some athletes. I coach, there's a private place in town that I coach in as well. We get a lot of athletes. So I get my athletes fixed with them.
What town are you in?
I'm in La Crescent, small town, La Crescent, Minnesota. It's right by La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Right across the river.
Yeah. So I grew up in Minneapolis and St. Louis Park. You spent some time in Twin Cities, right?
Yeah. In fact, I just moved back here 2 years ago. This is my hometown.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting.
How's that from going from Twin Cities?
Well, I'm kind of small town, vibe guy anyway. Like I love to hunt and fish, and this area is like perfect. Epic for that. So it fits kind of who I am. The cities, I didn't mind the cities, although I don't think I'd want to live there, recently.
Especially now.
Yeah. It's crazy. But yeah, I lived there for 15 years, Ben, and coached there. And so, but being back is interesting because you leave I left at 18, to go to school and stuff like that. And of course I came back and visit family and stuff, but you leave with an 18-year-old mindset of what your town was. And then you go away interestingly, I was gone for 18 years. And then I'm back at 30. When we moved back, I was 36. And I'm seeing this town as it's evolved, or maybe through my own, evolving. And it's different. And I've kind of watched my town from afar. I'm athletic, I think coaching. I'm a coach at heart. So I think about sports and my experiences and the molding of kids. And from afar, I saw my town really, let's just say, struggle. And this is a town of 5,000 people, not a large town, but a town that should at least be able to field a football team. They had to cancel varsity football for 2 years because they can't get kids out for football. And they can't get kids out for wrestling. They had 5 kids, 7 through 12 in their wrestling program. And I'm like, so from afar, 18 years ago, I mean, we had numbers up the yin yang. And so part of being back, and we had to downsize our lifestyle and stuff like that because of the business thing. But part of moving back here specifically was because I felt, a little bit called back to like help reinstill some vintage culture and some, more blue collar hard work ethic that I think is not just missing in this town. Don't get me wrong. I think it's missing in a lot of.
What do you think has changed over the years?
Well, I mean, some of the obvious things. I think there's a lot more distractions for a young person nowadays than there is when you and I mean, I think the cell phone came about when I was a freshman in college.
Totally.
And video games were a thing, but not really a thing. And so I think the distractions in social media, I think, is a huge piece of it. And then at least in our community, like we used to have a good chunk of rural kids that brought like this blue collar farm work ethic that you didn't complain, you didn't make excuses, even if you were a city kid, because you knew your buddy had to get up at 5 a.m. to milk cows and you got to sleep in.
Right.
And they're still there right next to you grinding. So there isn't that anymore. It's this town. We've been softened. So, but the thing is, I'm hesitant I don't want to speak down on the younger generation because I see so much potential. I get to work with them, and I think the parents, it's like the generational softness, if that's even a term. We get, good times create soft people. And we've had some good times in the last how many decades, and we've gotten softer. And all of a sudden we got a soft generation parenting softer kids. And so I think we need to realize that as Americans, as humans, we have a much greater potential than what we're doing right now. And you just have to speak it into kids. You got to coach it. And interestingly, when you are I'm a pretty fun coach to be around, I think anyway, but when you crack the whip and you get disciplined on them and you crack down on them, it's interesting how much they thrive when you really give them barriers and you have expectations, how they'll still continue to rise to that.
Everyone needs structure and discipline, right?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, everyone needs it. And I don't know, especially if we're talking nutrition and fitness, like what is possibly the single greatest aspect of coaching, right, in any capacity that helps people thrive is actually having accountability, actually having discipline, actually having someone help them create structure, right? Like we all need it. We all need coaching on every single level, on business coaching, on teaching us how to eat healthy, teaching us how to move, you name it, create relationships, nurture relationships, right?
Right.
All of that stuff. So I would agree with that. So as you're progressing through your career here, because you have 3 kids?
Yeah.
So 3 kids now, what are their ages?
8, 6, almost 6. She'll be 6 soon. And then 3 today.
Okay. Right. So happy birthday to the little one. So you definitely have your hands full with new business. And mine are pretty comparable. We have 11, 9, and 6.
Oh, yeah. So, I'm just a few years behind you.
Same age. Yeah. And I think I'm just a couple years older than you. So pretty much right on there. But I'm interested in kind of seeing how your perspective this is going to be a nebulous question, but how your perspective to business and kind of life and growth, specifically within health and fitness and nutrition and supplementation, has kind of evolved as you got married, as you started to have kids, as you created your own business. Like it's a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah. So I think as I've added moving pieces and plates to my life, I've learned I need to have more structure and add another level of discipline to my life. So I think, again, this transcends entrepreneurship and fitness and nutrition. Like you said before, this is for anybody looking to get better in their life, is providing those boundaries. So any area that I struggle with, I realize it's because I'm pretty undisciplined in that area. But to answer your question, so like I become very ritualistic and regimented because if people don't know who Jocko Willink is, but like the cliche, discipline equals freedom. And it's the truth. The more disciplined you become, the more freedom you create in your life, the more freedom of thought you have, the more freedom of time you have, the more efficient you become. You're not as tempted by other things. So I get up early in the morning. I mean, I get up at 4:30, and I usually always wake up before my alarm because I've been doing this for so long. I go to bed at 9:30. I get up at 4:20, 4:27, or whatever. And that's early, right? Some people are like, oh man, that guy's a psycho. Well, not really. I think it's brilliant. I mean, it's not my idea, so I can call it brilliant. I'm not calling myself brilliant. But I get 2.5, 3 hours of work done while you're sleeping. And so I have such a head start on the day. And a lot of times I get this question from buddies and people, my neighbor down the street, do you ever work? I always see you fishing. I always see you hunting. I always see your vehicle in the driveway. I'm like, well, A, I work at home. Okay, so let's answer that. But B, by the time it's noon, I've had 7.5, almost 8 hours of work.
Day working. Yep.
While you got your butt out of bed at 8 and started working at 9, And then and as an entrepreneur, I can work as hard as I want. So I can sprinkle things in as I go up to my day. I've learned how to not waste time. Now there's a flip side to that. I think there's a negative piece to that too, and I'll explain. But I've learned to be efficient, multitask. If I got 10 minutes while I'm waiting in a waiting room or whatever's going on, I'll use that time usually efficiently. I try not to scroll and troll too much, but most of my business is on the internet, so you gotta be plugged in a little bit. The flip side to that, though, is learning to be present in all the moments that you have as a father and as a husband. Be able to shut down all the distractions and be present with my family. I'm still learning how to be better at that.
It's a tough one.
It is. I want to be great at it, and I'm not great at it yet.
You and me both, man. I don't have any wisdom to that other than, I mean, I think that's just learned behaviors. And I think of creating further structure in your life to afford the opportunity to just say, this is, when I have to cut it off, just, prioritizing things as effectively as possible. But that's also the beauty. We value freedom. Yes. It really above everything else is I've always said, primarily is I want to have the freedom. I want to have the flexibility to live the life that I want to live, which early on means, we don't have the money to travel. We don't have the money to do much other than I'm just going to continue to plug away at my dream of owning my own business because one, I'm unemployable, and you may have found that for yourself as well. But two is I have a much greater vision of what I want my life to look like, what I want a business to look like, who and how many people I want to help. And within that, it's a situation where now we've been able to go on vacations and I've been able to literally shut it down, for a week. And I might sneak in a peek here or there, sure. But just having the opportunity to do that, I think is incredible. And is probably the single greatest aspect of entrepreneurship, right?
Absolutely, hands down.
Within your growth as a father, as a husband, as a business owner, I guess, how do you create, like you've talked about your morning structure, and I'm certainly with you there. I have clients email me back, I'll email them at 3:30 or 4 in the morning. I don't sleep great, and I'm up usually at all hours working.
Same.
And they're like, dude, what are you doing? But how do you kind of create the discipline in your life? And I guess maybe more importantly, how do you teach others and what would you say to others that are like, well, I can't afford to, get up at 4:30, or I have to be at the job from 8 to 5 and punch in and punch out. And I wish I had the opportunity to do what you do. And I guess, what would you say to others that perhaps are lacking the discipline, perhaps need a little bit of motivation, so on and so forth?
I think I try to inspire people. I think inspiration is a powerful tool if you know how to do it. And and what I mean by that is I feel like if you can inspire somebody to change, it's a lot
easier. So if you can help them wrap a purpose around what the benefits are of making these changes, if you can inspire them and you can help them see the fruit of it, rather than like, hey, I know we talk fitness and nutrition a lot, but like, getting up early to work out so you can drop 15 pounds. That's not very inspirational, like helping them understand what that newfound freedom will be like, but then also being real, like, hey, look, this is going to suck for a little bit. You're going to have to get up early. You're going to have to go to bed earlier. You're going to have to, make some lifestyle changes. But you got to understand, you're writing a story here right now. Like you got to, do you ever seen an inspirational movie before, Frank? Yeah, I love Rocky, or I love Miracle. Okay. Well, why do you think you liked it? It's because somebody went through some sucky stuff to get to a pretty awesome place. Well, you're going to have to go, into a sucky place for a little bit. And maybe it won't even suck that bad. It's just going to be harder because you've been lazy. And I'm also kind of I shoot people straight, but I think I do a good job of developing relationships with people so I can go there. Mm-hmm. But people need some unvarnished truth from time to time and not sugarcoat it, and just be like, look, you've had 10 years of some lazy habits. Look at you. Like, but here's the king. You know how much we can reverse in 90 days? Right. You can reverse 10 years of crappy habits in 90 days. Like, it's not going to take us 10 years. I just need you to give 90 days. Because if we can get through 90 days, man, we're probably going to be all right. I mean, I've just found that time frame works really well. And and research actually shows that too.
No, I mean, I think that's certainly a brilliant start to getting someone in the right direction. But I like how you're outlining, like, look, man, it's going to suck. It's going to suck before it gets better. And people don't really want to hear that, but they certainly do want to hear, what it's going to look like at the end of the journey. Because that's what everyone's looking for. Like, 15 pounds. Okay, cool. Like, I don't know. Is it significant? They don't know if it's significant or not. Like, I just want to feel like, I just want to feel like that person that has the energy, right, that I want to have. And I want to come home and have the energy to play with my kids and invest time with my wife and, like be able to go out on the weekends and hunt and fish and, or just be able to play some pickup sports or not have my knees freaking killing me and not be sore for another week.
Yeah. So you just expounded on that purpose. You just got to help them tie it to something that is going to extend far beyond the goal is reached. If it's some outcome-based goal, which I'm not a huge fan of outcome-based goals, other than I think we got to have something measurable, but habit-based goals are more powerful in my opinion, is helping them create the habits that will likely lead them to the goal. So when they get to the goal, that the habits are there and they'll actually stay at some sort of maintainable goal, or, help them see beyond that even. But the biggest struggle I've had over the years with my experiences in coaching is when people get really good results for a time and then I stop coaching them. And then I come into contact with them randomly or I see a picture of them on Facebook and I go, what happened? Now that could be perceived as judgmental. Like, you don't know what happened in their life. You're right. I don't. Something really bad could have happened. But I got a counter argument to that. When bad things happen in your life, isn't that all the more reason to have some positive, good, healthy habits going for you? So it doesn't just compound the negativity. I mean, crappy stuff happens to everybody.
Isn't that all the more reason that you need to have the structure and discipline in place in the first place? It's absolutely. Like, no, dude, that's it. I mean, everyone's like, oh, there's, it's not a good time right now. You tell me when is a good time. There's never a good time, not with our lifestyles. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you better develop the skills, the habits, the discipline, the structure that's actually going to serve you at the worst times. Yes. Or else what's keeping you from just digging yourself deeper and deeper and deeper into that hole?
Yes.
Nothing.
Yes.
That's when you rely on those things. That's what we talk about a lot with clients. It's like, that's when you can really turn and rely on those things without taking more of the mental bandwidth and energy and adding more stress to the plate, like what I'm going to eat, how do I prepare it, what about my workouts, like how do I control the situation when I'm on the road? Like you already know how to do that stuff. It's autopilot. It's behaviorally ingrained, whether it's 90 days or 6 months or a year or whatever.
Yep.
Right. It's all the more reason that you've got to figure out how to start to put that stuff on autopilot.
Yep. Agreed.
So sorry, I just you fired me up on that one. So
yeah,
and I'm with you
man.
100%. So tell me what you got three little ones. What have been some of the kind of guiding principles or lessons that you've picked up over the last 8 years of
being a dad,
being a father, that kind of have enlightened you, have helped you become a better human, a better coach, a better father?
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, let's start here. So I have a son. My oldest is a son, Brooks. Brooks is 8. Livia she'll be 6 in August, and Brady, daughter, just turned 3. And they each teach you something different, right? I mean, Brooks is my firstborn. He's my only boy, and he's starting to get into sports, and I'm learning that he's very different than me. And as much as you want your dads can probably relate to this, like, I want him to have this warrior mentality.
Well, because you were an athlete growing up, right?
I was, and I was, and I was just very different. I was very competitive, like in my nature. I wanted to win, and I was an achiever. It was ingrained in me. And he's much more passive, you really have to lead him to do things. And he's the most compassionate, kind kid, which is a really good thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm learning how to navigate, fathering him, and also I'm a coach in many of the things too, with those positive attributes that he gets like from his mother, and trying to help him be more well-rounded in some of these other areas. And I mean, he's a very strong young boy, and because he's been working out with me since he was 4. Now, don't get me wrong, like I'm not talking regimented. We could get down a trail of modeling with parents. Totally. And maybe this is great to talk about, but like he's seen me do it all these years. He's watched how I eat. He's seen me train. And ever since he was old enough to pick up a weight, he wanted to because dad did. Mm-hmm. And so now, for a long time, he wanted to because dad did, but now he's growing, he's maturing, he's becoming his own person. And there's distractions of electronics and stuff. Now I'm having to teach him discipline, like it's becoming a little more effort to get him to come do some of this stuff with me. But that's a lesson in and of itself. My middle child, Livia's got special needs. I've probably learned the most about myself through an experience of being a special needs father. Than I've become so self-aware of my shortcomings as a human being. And I've grown so much I'm still it's interesting. I have like this, I don't know if dichotomy is the word, of compassion. I'm very compassionate, but at the same time, I'm kind of a hard-nosed coach, Mm-hmm. And I get that from, being her father. She's got a really rare form of epilepsy. So she's nonverbal. Mm-hmm. So she communicates, but not how you and I are communicating. Sure. It's, coos and how facial expressions, and she can't walk, or, she's wheelchair bound. But this is where it all comes about, perspective. And when people say crappy things happen in life, it's one of the biggest blessings of my life is how some people might perceive a crappy event. It's all about perspective, Ben, like how these things happen in our life. When she was born, we didn't know what to expect. We just rolled with it. We have a strong faith in God. That's a big anchoring point for our family. And so we know that there's, a purpose and a reason for all of it. And, but it's been one of the most rich and amazing relationships I could have with anyone, but she's my daughter, and having to learn how to communicate. And I mean, I don't know if you know this, and maybe you do. I wrote a book on this. It's called Special Strengths, Lessons from Livia. Livia's her name. And I talk about these 20 lessons that she's taught me. And that's worth a read. And I'm not just trying to plug that. I really feel like it's a perspective shifting book for anybody. It's not just a father-daughter thing. It transcends all of that. And there's lessons that she teaches me that I think can teach the masses of people. And what's interesting is it's coming from a nonverbal, beautiful little girl, so it just shows us how much we can learn from somebody who has special needs, which I call special strengths. Because I could talk about this a long time, man, but what I've come to realize, what the world would call someone with special needs, it's interestingly, when you start to spend time, I get to spend a lot of time with her, is you could begin to realize, well, you and I both have special needs too, right? And I become almost envious in a way of how strong she is in areas that I suck, and how much I want to say perfect. But let me explain. Like we're so flawed. I mean, if anything in our society and culture right now is showing us we are massively flawed.
Very much so.
And when I look at her and other kids or adults, whatever, with what we call special needs, I'm like, man, I'm not so sure. I think that special strengths, like, they don't care what other people think. They're not ingrained with all these sinful habits and behaviors.
Sure.
And I'm just kind of like amazed by it. And I'm like, the way she communicates, I'm like, I think she might be a better communicator than I am with words, So that's been one of the most interesting, and will continue to be one of the most interesting and rich relationships of my life, will be with my daughter, Livia. And then Brady, she is spicy. She has all the emotions every single day. So
she's 3. You said she's 3 today, right?
She's 3 today.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah. So I'm learning. Oh man, I'm just learning how to temper my emotions with. Or let me put it this way: she's me in a 3-year-old girl. So she's very passionate and very spicy. So I'm learning how to, like, you're me when I was that age. So I have to temper my patience with her. She's teaching me patience.
How are you guys managing growing the business? Because your wife's involved with the business as well, right?
She is, but it's largely me. Did your wife work outside the home, or does she stay at home?
Yeah, she was for years. And then over the past year, she's come on for us to work together with BSL Nutrition. However, as it goes, with COVID, with online, nurturing the kids when they had to do online schooling. So it's sort of, she's being tugged in a lot of different areas, which is giving me the leverage to be all in.
Okay.
Right.
So I was going to say, women are amazing. A wife, like yours, like mine, is an immense blessing. And so is she really involved in my business? Not much, but she is, because of all the reasons you just mentioned. What she does inside those doors, because I'm in my office, I have a big garage.
It's beautiful, by the way. I see all the kettlebells in the background.
Yeah, man.
Living the dream.
Just a man cave. Redefining the man cave. But while, just through those doors, she's taking care of the kids and doing all the things with, that COVID crisis. And she's got a little side hustle of her own. She's doing pretty good with in the makeup industry. So I'm proud of her. And I mean, we're a good team, and a healthy marriage is, man, it's all teamwork, isn't it?
Oh, it certainly is. But that's beautiful to have that kind of support. I mean, you can't ask for more than that. You can't ask for more than, healthy children to learn from, to grow from, to teach you invaluable lessons.
Yeah.
Right. To learn the experiences of running your own business, becoming the type of person that you need to in order to be successful.
Yeah.
And so, Brandon, I'm super grateful for the opportunity to have spent time talking with you, for the lessons that you're sharing to our listeners, and we're going to have to do this again. I want to respect everyone's time. I want to respect your time. I know your time is valuable. So before I let you go, how can people find out more about you? How can they find out more about, your business, your kettlebells, your supplements?
Yeah, well, everything is well built with me. So I agree we should do this again, because we didn't even scratch the surface. Dude, I don't think, right?
No.
That's what's awesome. I love the conversation with a man like you. But Well-Built Humans is like the mothership, and you can find Well-Built supplements off of that, Well-Built kettlebells, and on Instagram and all the social media stuff. It's all the same. Well-Built Humans.
We'll have all the links in the show notes, but it's wellbuilthumans.com.
Correct.
And dude, really, really a pleasure and honor. I appreciate you. We definitely on the same wavelength in so many different capacities. So it's just great to bro out and connect. And so we'll certainly do it again. And
okay.
Take care. Good luck with continued growth of your business and your wonderful family. And we'll catch up soon, man.
Likewise.
Thank you so much for listening. And if you found this content valuable, here are 4 ways I can help you in your nutrition journey for free. 1, grab a free copy of my Fat Loss Fix Guide at fatlossfixguide.com. 2, join my free group at smartnutritionmadesimple.com. 3, subscribe to my YouTube channel at smartnutritionmadesimple.tv.com. 4, leave a 5-star rating and positive review so that we can gain access to more nutrition experts ready to share their knowledge with you and ultimately help more people make smart nutrition simple.